Hi, my name is Zachary Will. I am a videographer and cinematographer based in Atlanta, Georgia. And just wanted to talk real quickly about my opinions on two cameras that I used, one relatively recently and one I've been using for a little while. And just my opinions on them and whether they might be a good fit for some of your productions. This is the one that I used last night for the first time, and that was the Canon R3. It was actually pretty cool. It was somebody wanted me to shoot with their Canon gear because you know, they wanted everything to color match, so ended up using their Canon R3. The thing that I liked about the Canon R3 was just the IBIS was really good, and so just kind of their style was a little bit more handheld. And so I was able to get away from using a gimbal and got to use it more handheld. And so that was kind of fun. But there were some things that I didn't like about it. One thing I forgot about using Canon gear, because I haven't used Canon cameras in a long time, is that when you hit record, you can't go into the menu. Or at least I don't think I could get into the menu. And there was a lot of things and features that were hidden into the menu on the Canon R3 that kind of made it not very usable for me for video. I'll give you a couple quick examples. One of the examples is that you can't switch peaking in and off. You might be able to map it to a custom button. I'm not 100% sure. It was just the way that it was set up was that I couldn't turn peaking on and off like I could on my Panasonic cameras with just a simple button press. Also, not being able to go in the menu while you're recording was difficult because one thing that I tend to do a lot is switch between auto and manual focus sometimes, just so that way I know, for example, if I'm focused on somebody, I will I might be filming them for a long time and then be like, am I really in focus? And I'll use the autofocus to kind of confirm that it's in focus and then switch back to manual to make sure that it doesn't kind of jump in between different subjects. Some of the lenses that I was using didn't have some of the newer ones didn't have an auto manual switch. I couldn't make that adjustment on the fly. And then I'd have to go into the menu to switch on and off autofocus to manual focus. On the Panasonic cameras, there's literally just a little dial that switches between the different types of autofocus modes, which makes it super quick and easy to do even while you're recording. Another thing that I don't like about the Canon R3 is that there is some exposure tools like a histogram, but those disappear as soon as you hit record, which means that you can't really tell what your exposure is overall. There's no zebras, so you can't tell if something's overexposing. All you actually get while you're recording is the kind of the photo average of the screen, and so that doesn't really tell you necessarily whether something's exposing or not. Whether something is overexposing or underexposing, it just tells you just what the average of the entire frame is. And that even that little bar that tells you that disappears if you don't, I think you have to press a button or something in order for it to show back up, and it only shows up for a couple seconds and then disappears again. But I just found that really interesting is that like it's very difficult to get those exposure tools on your camera. So that combined with you know, some of the manual focus tools on the Canon R3 make it really a hard choice for me for video, unless you're kind of somebody who mostly shoots photos and then you're more of a photographer and you're going to be using video every once in a while. I think that it's a good mix for that type of person, but if you're mostly doing video, I don't think it's the best tool for you. So now moving on to the red Komodo. This is a camera that one of my clients owns. that I've been shooting on for probably about 2 years now. So I have a lot of experience using it, a lot of interviews, a lot of people talking to camera, a little bit of B-roll type stuff with it, some live events. So quite a bit of variety with that camera, and the things that I do like about it, I like the 6K versus 4K. That's super helpful if you're shooting something where you want to crop in. The big advantage of cropping in 6K is that you just have a more higher resolution when you crop in a little bit in 1080 versus using 4K and cropping in. I've actually upgraded it to the beta firmware, which brings in the ELQ red code, which is the extremely low quality red code. Because even the low quality red code is way too big for any of the stuff that I do. Preamps on the mic input are not that great, and when you compare the fact that it has just an 1/8 input for the audio versus other cameras kind of in its class like the C70, FX30, or even like the Blackmagic 6K, all of those have XLR or mini XLR inputs that can support phantom power, which means you can just plug a shotgun mic straight into them, which is perfect for interviews and stuff like that. But with the Red Komodo, you're pretty much set with having to use something like a Zoom F6 alongside of it, which is fine. I have one, but it just makes it an extra step of recording with them. And it's just one other downside, I think. Another thing that I don't like about that camera is the fact that it only has one card slot. And I don't particularly like just all the different types of cards that people have invented for, whether that's CFast, CFX, Express. You know, I like just the simple SD cards, which is why I love shooting on some of my Panasonic cameras. So those are just my opinions on the Red Komodo and the Canon R3. Both of them are fairly decent cameras to be using, but I think both of them have just like some slight quirks, which means they don't necessarily work the best in every single workflow. I think particularly the Canon R3 is nice that it doesn't overheat. It shoots good 4K 60 video. And so if you're in a situation where you're gonna end up using a lot of hybrid stuff, whether that's, you're gonna use a lot of photos and video, I think it's a great option. The Red Komodo, I think, is a good tool for somebody if you're gonna be doing a lot of music videos, commercials without audio, or productions where you have a separate sound mixer. Those are good for that.